නවපෑස් සබන් සහ ක්‍රීම් ජාත්‍යන්තර ළමා රෝග පිළිබඳ විශේෂඥයන් විසින් සායනිකව තහවුරු කරලා තියෙන්නේ.
Tonight, upping the ante. The finance minister removes import restrictions on 369 items and raises levies and duties in a move to increase revenue. Second thoughts. Controversial former MP Duminda Silva rearrested after the Supreme Court suspension of his presidential pardon. Dampened spirits. The Met Department issues a heavy rain alert as flood surge in low-lying areas. Darker days ahead. Business confidence continues on a downward spiral, dropping 17 points in May. All this and much more coming up tonight on First at 9, this Wednesday, the 1st of June, 2022.
Life boy shampoo chuti, rupiah 70.
From AdaDerana, this is AdaDerana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening, you're watching First at 9 with me, David Ebert. Now, Fort Magistrate ordered parliamentarians Sanath Nishantha, Milan Jayathilaka to be further remanded until the 8th of June, when the case pertaining to the assaults on anti-government protesters outside Temple Trees and Garfield Green was taken up today. Further, the court also ordered former Minister Johnston Fernando, SLPP activist Mahinda Kandagama and 2 others to be named as suspects as well.
The case pertaining to the brutal assaults on peaceful protesters on the 9th of May outside Temple Trees and at the Gota Gogama site was taken up at the Fort Magistrates Court today. Some of the arrested suspects, including the son of Morato Mayor Samandal Fernando, 3 employees of the Morato Municipal Council, an urban council member affiliated to the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna, and the president of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna Education Services Union Vasantha Handapangoda, were presented in court. 6 other suspects, including parliamentarians Sanath Nishantha and Milan Jayathilaka, were produced virtually via Skype due to security reasons. At the beginning of the proceedings, the Deputy Solicitor General Ayesha Jinasena requested the court to name former Minister Johnston Fernando, Mahinda Kandagama and 2 others as suspects in the case. The court then ordered them to be named as suspects by the CID. The Solicitor General then told the court that a forensic investigation is underway on the official and personal mobile phones of Senior DIG Deshabandhu Tennakone, currently in CID custody. Representing the protesters, President's Counsel Upul Jayasuriya asked court why SDIG Tennakone, who has been accused of failure to prevent the attacks, has not been named a suspect. When IGP CD Vikramaratne, who also arrived at the Fort Magistrate Court, was questioned on the possibility of appointing a senior DIG to look into the progress of the investigation, he agreed to nominate senior DIG Kamal Silva, who is in charge of the Crimes and Traffic Division, for this purpose. During the hearing, the attorney representing SDIG Tennakone, President's Counsel Nalin Ladduwa Hetty, stated that his client has taken all possible measures to prevent the violence as per the written instructions given to him by the IGP on the day prior to the incidents. He said that his client had arrived at the Temple Trees from his office as soon as he got to know about the incident. The President's Counsel added that there were discrepancies between the instructions given to his client by the IGP and the Secretary to the Ministry of Public Security. Due to these discrepancies, his client had obtained instructions from the President and then ordered tear gas and water cannons to be used to disperse the assailants. When court inquired from the IGP as to why he could not transfer SDIG Tennakone upon the instructions of the AG's department, he replied that he did not have the authority to transfer a senior DIG. When the attorneys representing the protesters inquired as to how SDIG Ajit Rohana was transferred to the southern province, the IGP explained that his transfer was decided upon the Secretary to the Ministry of Public Security with the backing of the Public Services Commission. IGP Vikramaratne then said that he has informed the relevant parties in this regard at his capacity. After considering the facts presented, the Fort Magistrate ordered MPs Sanath Nishantha, Milan Jayathilaka and other suspects presented today to be remanded until the 8th of June. Meanwhile, President has appointed a 3-member presidential commission to inquire into the incidents of arson, looting, murders, injuries caused to the individuals and damages to properties in parts of the country between 31st of March and 15th of May. The Commission of Inquiry, headed by Supreme Court Justice Buwanekalu Vihare, will include former Senior DIG S.M. Vikramasinghe and Additional Chief Assessor N.A.S. Vasantha Kumara as members. Additional Secretary to the President Buanaga Herath has been appointed as the Secretary to the Commission.
Meanwhile, former parliamentarian Duminda Silva was rearrested today after the Supreme Court yesterday suspended his special presidential pardon. The former MP was taken into custody at the Sri Jayawardhanapura Hospital, where he was receiving treatment for an ailment.
Former MP Duminda Silva has been arrested by the Criminal Investigations Department after the Supreme Court issued an order suspending his presidential pardon. Police spokesperson SSP Nihal Taldua said that the former MP was arrested while receiving treatment at the Sri Jayawardhanapura Hospital. Yesterday, the Supreme Court issued an interim order suspending the special presidential pardon granted to the former parliamentarian while he served a death sentence. Meanwhile, the Attorney General had been instructed to provide necessary advice and assistance to the CID in this regard. Further, the court has also issued a travel ban on the former MP. On 24th of June in 2021, President Gotabaya Rajapaksa granted presidential pardon to several prison inmates, including Duminda Silva, in view of Poson Full Moon Poya Day. Silva was jailed in September 2016 after the Colombo High Court found him and several others guilty in the murder of former MP Bharata Lakshman Premachandra. Subsequently, fundamental rights petitions was filed by Sumana Premachandra, the wife of Bharata Lakshman Premachandra, a former commissioner of the Human Rights Commission of Sri Lanka, President's Counsel Ghazali Hussain, and several others challenging the special presidential pardon. The three-judge bench of the Supreme Court, comprising Justices Preeti Padman Surasena, Yasantha Kodagoda and Nachala Vengappuli, moved to revoke the presidential pardon. The petitions are to be taken up for hearing on the 1st of September.
Meanwhile, surcharges, levies and duties on 369 HS code items were increased from today by the Ministry of Finance. Further, open account payments for imports, which were suspended by the Ministry in March, were also relaxed and will be permitted until the 7th of this month. On the 9th of March this year, the Ministry of Finance issued a Gazette Extraordinary placing restrictions on 369 HS code items. According to the ministry at the time, the step was taken to discourage the importation of non-essential goods in the face of the prevailing foreign exchange crisis. However, current Prime Minister and Minister of Finance, Economic Stabilisation and National Policies Ranil Wickremesinghe has issued another gazette today relaxing the restrictions. According to the Gazette, the decision was taken after considering recent developments in the country and other measures by the government. Accordingly, this move will involve the increase of import duties, customs duties and surcharges levied on these 369 goods. Accordingly, the special excise duty of 1,000 rupees per kilogram on the import of yogurt has been increased to 2,000 rupees per kilogram. Further, the special excise duty of 400 rupees per kilogram on all types of cheese will be increased to 600 rupees. Steps have also been taken to increase the special commodity levy on the importation of oranges from 200 to 600 rupees per kilogram. Also, the special excise duty on grapes and apples have been increased from 300 to 600 rupees. A surcharge of 75% in customs duties has also been imposed on the import of wheat flour. Further, a 50% surcharge is to be levied on the import of chocolate and cocoa. Meanwhile, the surcharge on customs duties on foreign liquor, including beer, wine, whiskey and vodka, has been increased by 100%. In the meantime, a 100% surcharge is to be levied on foreign cigarettes and a 75% surcharge will be levied on foreign perfumes. A 75% surcharge is to be imposed on foreign shampoos as well. In addition, a 50% customs duty surcharge has also been imposed on the importation of tyres for cars, motorcycles and three-wheelers. Also, the surcharge levied on customs duty on foreign footwear has been increased by 75%. Further, a 100% surcharge has been imposed on the importation of refrigerators, washing machines and electric ovens. On imported air conditioners, a 100% surcharge is to be levied. Meanwhile, a 100% surcharge has been imposed on the importation of musical instruments. In addition, the Gazette has also rescinded its previous order, suspending open account payments for imports. This will allow open account payments to continue, however, only until the 7th of this month. Further, the ministry has called on all stakeholders to take the difficult economic situation in the country into account and rationalize the importation on the basis of importance and urgency and save the limited foreign exchange to ensure uninterrupted supply of essential commodities. The Department of Meteorology expects heavy showers to prevail in the next 2 days and a relief is expected from the 4th of June. However, the department said that occasional showers could occur after the 4th since the country is currently experiencing the southwestern monsoon, which is likely to continue until September.
During the past 24-hour cycle that ended at 8:30 a.m. this morning, the highest rainfall of 130.4 millimeters was reported from the area of Varakapula in the Kurunegala district. Although the Department of Meteorology reported a reduction in rainfall during the day compared to yesterday, heavy rains recorded in the western, Sabaragamuwa and southern provinces yesterday led to minor floods in lowland areas near the Kalani, Kalu, Nilwala, Ging rivers and the Attanagaluoya, affecting the transportation and daily lives of the public. What the Department of Irrigation says is that the situation can get worse if heavy rains continue during the day. With today marking the conclusion of the GCE Ordinary Level examinations, the Commissioner General of Examinations LMD Dharmasena requested students to report to the nearest centre for their final examination if they are unable to reach their designated centre due to floods and other disasters. By 12 p.m. today, the inclement weather has affected 12,326 people from 2,672 families. Meanwhile, a death was also reported last night as a disaster relief officer in Ratnapura was swept away by floods while passing the area of Kuruvita, which was heavily affected by floods. In this backdrop, relief efforts to rescue the people affected are underway, with the Sri Lanka Navy deploying 13 teams in the Ratnapura, Kalutara and Galle districts. The Department of Meteorology says that the heavy showers can be expected in the next couple of days as well.
Prevailing showery conditions in the western Sabaragamuwa, northwestern provinces as well as in Kandy, Nuwara, Galle and March districts are likely to continue during next 2 days. Fairly heavy falls above 75 mm also likely at some places in western and Sabaragamuwa provinces as well as Kandy, Nuwara, Galle and Mathura districts. We can expect some sort of rainfall enhancement by tomorrow night and early morning hours of day after tomorrow. We are in the southwest monsoon season, so we can expect on and off showers, but prevailing showery conditions likely to reduce by 4th of June.
Further, strong winds of about 40 km per hour have been forecast over the western slopes of the Central Hills, northern, north central and northwestern provinces as well as in Trincomalee and Hambantota districts. In the meantime, taking the heavy deluge into account, the National Building Research Organisation has further extended landslide warnings for several areas of the Colombo, Galle, Kalutara, Kandy, Mathura, Kegalle, Nuwara and Ratnapura districts until 3 p.m. tomorrow.
Warning level 3 evacuation red notice was issued to Ratnapura, Kalavana, Alapatha, Kuruvita and Ehliyagoda Division 2nd Division Ratnapura district. Warning level 2 alert amber warning was issued to Dehovita, Bulatkohitiya, Varakapola and Kegalle Division 2nd Division in Kegalle district. Kiriyalla, Aigama, Palmadulla and Nithigala Division 2nd Divisions in Ratnapura district. Kottapola and Pittabadara Division 2nd Division in Mathura district. Warning level 1 watch yellow warning was issued to Sitawak and Paduka Division 2nd Division Colombo district. Nagoda, Pathegama and Yakkalamula Division 2nd Division in Galle district. Palindanora, Bulat Sinhala, Walallavit and Ingiriya Division 2nd Division in Kalutara district. Pasbayakorle Division 2nd Division Kandy district. Yatiyantota, Tharnigala and Ruwanala Division 2nd Division Kegalle district. Paskuda and Athuruliya Division 2nd Division Mathura district. Ambagamuwa Division 2nd Division Nuwara district. Kodakavela and Kahawatha Division 2nd Division in Ratnapura district.
Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe has issued instructions for relief to be provided to all who have been affected by floods. Discussions were held today between Prime Minister Secretary Saman Ekanaika and the secretaries of the district of Kalutara, Gampa and Galle. During the discussions, the Prime Minister has stated that the Treasury Operations Department has allocated funds to provide relief to the people affected by the floods. PM Wickremesinghe has also instructed the Treasury to take steps to provide relief funds through district secretaries. And we'll be back with more stories right after this short break. Do stay with us.
Big 3.
Welcome back. Foreign Minister Professor G.L. Peiris has received assurances from the government of Japan for support in overcoming the country's economic challenges. This was communicated by Deputy Chief of Mission of the Japanese Embassy in Colombo, Katsuki Kotaro, when he paid a call on the Foreign Minister earlier this week.
Foreign Minister Professor G.L. Pieris has met with the Deputy Head of Mission of the Japanese Embassy in Colombo, Katsuki Kotaro, earlier this week to discuss bilateral engagements, domestic developments and international assistance in overcoming the country's current economic challenges. Whilst appreciating the generous assistance and support extended by the government of Japan, particularly during the peak of the COVID-19 global pandemic, the foreign minister sought continued support from Japan both bilaterally and through multilateral channels to mitigate the economic challenges in Sri Lanka. At the meeting, Minister Pieris explained that the government of Sri Lanka will seek assistance from Paris Club lenders, G7 countries and other creditors following its discussion to work out a debt restructuring plan with the International Monetary Fund. Noting that the continued engagement with the international community with Sri Lanka is the key to overcoming the economic crisis, both sides discussed the strengthening of further collaboration. In this context, Kotaro reiterated the support of the Japanese government in finding sustainable solutions to stabilize the economy of Sri Lanka.
Now, the 24th Army Commander of Sri Lanka, Lieutenant General Wikum Lienage, assumed his duties today at the Colombo Army headquarters. Lieutenant General Lienage takes over from General Duminda Silva, who took over as Chief of Defence Staff.
Lieutenant General Wikum Lienage assumed duties as the new commander of Sri Lanka Army. A celebration took place at Colombo Army headquarters as he was welcomed as the 24th Commander of Sri Lanka Army. Upon assuming the new position, he advanced to the rank of Lieutenant General. Lieutenant General Lienage joined the Sri Lanka Army on 27th of October 1986 as an officer cadet. Following completion of his training, he was commissioned in the rank of Second Lieutenant and was posted to the Gajaba Regiment. He has gained comprehensive experiences over the years from holding a number of significant commands during his 35-year military career. Further, he has been recognized for his pioneering efforts against LTT during the peak of the final humanitarian operation and has been awarded a number of medals for his services.
Now, Sri Lanka's Muslim community have decided to forego Hajj pilgrimages this year in consideration of the ongoing economic crisis. According to estimates, Hajj travels this year were expected to cost nearly $10 million.
Following a discussion held by several parties regarding the economic crisis, the Muslim community in Sri Lanka has decided to omit their part in the Hajj pilgrimage this year. Although 1,585 pilgrims from Sri Lanka had been approved for this year, out of 1 million pilgrims allowed to visit holy city of Mecca, the members of National Hajj Committee, Hajj Tour Operators Association of Sri Lanka and the Muslim Religious and Cultural Affairs Department agreed to forego this year's pilgrimage due to the stressful financial situations the country is undergoing. The Hajj operations of Sri Lankan pilgrims was expected to cost around $10 million. The chairman of the National Hajj Committee comments that the decision to forego this year's Hajj is a generous gesture by members of the Muslim community to sacrifice their pilgrimage for the sake of the country.
Now, business confidence continues to head downhill in the island, with last month's index value recording a 17-point decrease. The barometer remains up 10 notches from the 89 it had fallen to on account of the third wave of COVID-19. However, this is still uncomfortably below its all-time average of 126 and 9 points shy of its 12-month average of 109.
There were no surprises today when the LMD Nielsen IQ Business Confidence Index continued on its downward tumble, sliding a perilous 17 basis points to 99 in May from its lowest level this year of 116 in April. However, according to the report, compared to the same time last year, the barometer remains up 10 notches from the 89 it had fallen to on account of the third wave of COVID-19. However, this is still uncomfortably below its all-time average of 126 and 9 points shy of its 12-month average of 109. Nielsen IQ's Director Consumer Insights, Terika Miyandeni, stated in the report that both the BCI and Consumer Confidence Index are reflecting this despairing mood, and a prediction of darker days to come hangs over Sri Lanka like the sword of Damocles. The report says that in terms of sensitivities, the countless downside risks that hovered over the economy and political landscape in April have lengthened their shadows to overcast the BCI's prospects to improvement in the coming months. The report also shows that a majority of 87% of business people feel that the economy will get worse. Miyandeni concluded that Sri Lanka desperately needs a miracle to happen to inject life back into a failed nation, but where that miracle will come from is anybody's guess.
Now, Sri Lanka's stocks slipped 0.54% today for the 7th straight session this week on bad sentiments. The all share price index closed 43.4 points down at 8,064.69 points, while the more liquid S&P SL20 index slipped 0.89% or 23.95 points to 2,655.38. The market has gained 6% in May so far, following a loss of 23% in April and 14.5% in March. The index has also lost 34% so far this year, after being one of the world's best performing stock markets with an 80% return last year, when large volumes of money were printed. The daily market turnover was 1.2 billion rupees, more than half of this year's average daily turnover of 3.9 billion rupees. Foreign investors bought a net 20 billion rupees worth of shares this week, while the market has also witnessed a total foreign outflow of 1.1 billion rupees so far this year. And that's all the news we have for you tonight. We hope you join us tomorrow at the same time. Good night.